I'm going to be showing you a neon seahorse design. This one is very 3D. It's built up off the nail. If this is a new technique for you and you've never made things that are separate and put together, this one is easy to do comparatively to some of them that I do that are really crazy. So if you're trying to get into that kind of thing, maybe try this one. It'd be a good way to start. I hope you guys like it, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!
We are going to begin this nail with an overlay of a aqua or some kind of like a teal color acrylic, something that makes you feel aquatic in the background. I'm going to apply a full layer of that over the nail. It doesn't have to be terribly thick, and then I'm going to encapsulate it with a layer of clear acrylic just to make sure that the nail is nice and strong and protect that color. Plus, it gives a little bit of a 3D situation even just in the background because the clear acrylic acts as a little lift between the marbling we're going to be doing and the background. After that nail's been filed into shape, apply a layer of matte top coat, and then we're going to use some nail art inks over this, and we're going to create, just like I said, a little marbling. I have a metallic green, a purple, and then a white ink that I'm going to use, and then clear ink just to blend those together. After that's done, I'm going to apply a layer of gel top coat that is shiny and cure that again. Now that we have that done, we're going to switch over to a nail form backing and some green acrylic, and we're going to be making little swirly bits of seaweed. So make a long tapered shape that has got a point on both ends, so it's tapered on both sides as long as you possibly can get it pretty much. Once it starts to really hold its shape, peel it off the nail form backing, and then using gloved hands, I'm going to twist it into a nice little curlicue, and then immediately I'm going to transfer that to the nail. You may have to really press it down onto the nail in order to get it to really hold its shape, especially on the ends, but you're not going to want to use any nail glue. You're going to want to try to get it to stick there as quick as possible. If you do have to use some nail glue, I would dip just the one end that's on the tip of the nail into the nail glue and then press and hold that into shape. Then after you get that done, you may need to add a little bit of nail glue to the top. I typically have some nail glue sitting on a nail form backing next to me, and I can always just dip things into it as I go in case the need arises, but try to do that before it gets to the point where you need to use the nail glue, where there's still a tackiness just to the acrylic. I'm going to repeat that process in a slightly smaller scale with a slightly darker shade of acrylic. Just twist that into that curlicue, and then go grab the nail and then place that on as soon as you can. Again, if it becomes necessary to use nail glue, don't worry about it, but try to not. Then after you have those seaweeds in place, secure them with clear acrylic to the nail so that they really are holding on. After that's done, I'm going to switch over to some pinks and some oranges, and I'm going to be making my seahorse. The fun thing with a seahorse is that really for colors, you can pick whatever you want, not necessarily that any color is going to be realistic, but you just see seahorse art in any sort of color, and I wasn't going for realism with this. I was going for simple and whimsy and just kind of a fun, bright, aquatic design. In terms of picking out colors and you're looking at your thing and you're thinking, yeah, I don't want to really do pink. The other color scheme that I would go with for your seahorse is, say you made your seaweed a little bit more blue toned instead of like a brighter classic green or a yellow green, is if you made them just slightly more blue, then what you could do is I would probably go in with an orange seahorse. Or on the opposite side of things, say you made your seaweed more yellow than I did, then I would go with a purple seahorse. So if you didn't want pink and you didn't know what to choose, that would be just kind of a good base idea to go with. And if you are curious in general about picking colors and what to do, I do have a color theory class a live class that I did on YouTube probably close to a year ago now. It was a while ago, but all the information in there is so valuable. And if you did not watch it and it's something that you struggle with, I highly recommend that you check that one out. And I will put a link to it in the description box below. Color theory is one of those things that can seem daunting, especially if it's not something that you're just inherently good at, which is one of those things where people either see it or they don't. But there are some tricks of the trade that you can look at that can really help you in picking out colors, even if it's not something that you can just obviously see and know what to do. So now that we have a base done on our seahorse and we have pretty much the generalized shape, we've got the head, the nice big round belly, curly tail. On the side next to my seahorse, I started out by making the fin, and then we can go through and start adding some textures, some different colors to our seahorse. I'm going to take a dark berry color and I'm going to be adding a section. Again, we're going for whimsy here, not realism, so you can have fun with it, do different patterns, kind of sculpt things in, and you don't have to do anything that's too complicated. I'm just sculpting in a stripe of that color and then using my dotting tool and pressing holes into it, which adds a lot of texture with really very little effort. It's just kind of almost like hole punching it in. Just go punch, punch, punch right into there. And then after you have one stripe done, switch up colors. If you're doing the same as I am, I'm going to use a really bright orange. I'm going to do the exact same process, filling in a section. As you can see, when you press your dotting tool into your seahorse, the color underneath will show through. So your pink will still show through, even though it is partially being covered up. For that last little bit, just to add a little bit more fun, do something a little bit, just a little bit more fun, I'm going to use a mixed bead of the orange and the darker berry color. Just again, variety, just to switch it up a little bit. There's really no right and wrong with this particular design whatsoever. You can do whatever your heart desires. After you have all of that patterning and that texture done to your seahorse's body, you can add a little bit more just to mention however you see fit to the head. You could continue that pattern kind of up over the face a little bit farther if you wanted to. Otherwise, I'm going to use the orange and build up some height, and then the berry color in the indent around the eye. Add a little bit more of that orange. And you might be thinking, why start out with that pink if you're going to be completely covering it up? Like I said, the color does show through on the little holes or in the holes, and it's also on that fin. It's still there. It's not quite as obvious there. It's like I said, it's, you know, mostly covered up, but it's still there. It still adds a little bit of that base color and that generalized feeling to the seahorse, if that makes sense. It's got that color, it just shows through a little bit. And then we're going to be taking some more of that orange. I'm going to be adding a couple little spikes going down the seahorse's back. If you are just wanting to switch up the seahorse design in any way, shape, or form, if you look up seahorse art or seahorse watercolor, or even just look at seahorses, you'll get so many ideas and so much inspiration because there's so much really fluid looking seahorse art out there that are just gorgeous. After you have everything done so far, I'm going to take that little fin and I'm going to dip it into some nail glue and then glue it in place on the seahorse. I'm going to hook the tail around one of my seaweed pieces and then stick it down to the nail with clear acrylic. Once that's done, you can add whatever kind of little bits of painting you feel like you need to with acrylic paint. I'm going to be adding some shading on my seahorse with some black paint, adding little outlines within some of those indents that we created with the dotting tool. Add little outlines here and there just to really intensify the design and make it very vivid looking. Add the pupil on your seahorse's eye, and then using a very stiff little brush and some diluted white paint, I'm going to be highlighting my seahorse's body. This paint will only stick to the parts of the design that are raised, so it will not sink into those holes and it'll really amplify the design. And then I'm going to take more of that paint and I'm going to brighten up certain sections of the pattern just to really, like I said, it's going to intensify the design. It's going to make all of those little shapes that are sculpted in a little more intense and a little more vivid. Add some outlines or some highlights to your seaweed as well. Then some matte top coat. And then this design is pretty much done. You can add some 3D glaze or some shine to anything that you feel like it needs it. But otherwise, have fun. This is all done. I hope you guys like it as much as I do. And I will see you all next time. Bye!